day. I don't know why.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Transformation Leaders Podcast. I am Sean Ennis, my partner in crime, David Stoughton, here today, and we are talking about another of the wonderful modern utilities or online services that you can do to help advance and add productivity to you and your team. And this is one that I know very well. And want to make sure we share this with all of you because that's what we spend a lot of our time doing. A lot of times we spend jockeying PowerPoint. And I heavily recommend all of you to analyze what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and how much time you're spending on things, because it really will help you educate on what you need to do. And then you can ask your favorite large language model, hey, I'm spending 4 hours a day jockeying PowerPoint. What can I do to be more productivity? It will give you these kind of ideas. So what we have done today, David has signed up for a trial, exactly what you can do. And let's talk about it. So, David, take us through what Gamma is, what you use it for, and what outcomes you've gotten so far with it.
Yeah, no, perfect. And just a reminder to everybody, we're not sponsoring Gamma at all or advocating that you buy it or get it. We have no affiliation with them whatsoever. I personally use it. Sean has an account. He personally uses it. We like it. So we figured, hey, why not talk about what we know? But there are other tools. Every day there seems to be a new kid on the block. So just make sure that you subscribe to either one of us. I try to post daily on different technologies. So maybe follow on the LinkedIn or whatever. And there's a plethora of other newsletters that's out there. Maybe one day we'll do one of those too. But in any event, right now, we're just going to show you Gamma. So as you can see through it here, it's a gamma.app. So not a .com or a .net. You just go to gamma.app. You hit the sign up for free, and then you do all of this wonderful magic stuff. And rather than take you through their literature on the back end, we'll just take you into what I've got now. So this is showing you literally right after I signed up, I got the account. This is where you land. And so you'll have to answer, I think it looks like 1 of 4 questions. So I'm going to use this for work. I'll hit continue. What kind of work do you do? I don't know. I hate answering these, right? So I'll just choose other. Create presentations from scratch. Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know. YouTube, right? So we'll hit done. And that'll take us into the initial landing. You get 400 credits. That being said, you can upgrade it, and within the upgrades, there are different features, but I'm just going to show you some of the basic features that's there. So let's click Create New to show you what your options are. So the first one is you can create a PowerPoint or let me rephrase. So Gamma is its own thing. When you create a deck or a slide, and it's more than just that. Like I have a tendency to only use it for slides or whatever, but you can do additional types of things like web pages, landing pages, presentations, info pages. There's a whole bunch of different things up there. Now I do wish I went into the advertisements here. Let's see if we can find a theme here. Standard. So these are the color templates and stuff that you get. Now you can create your own and upload your own logo, and maybe we'll explore all of that in a little bit. I'm simply just trying to show the different. Here you go. This space is full of potential. So here you can create sites. The Gammas are really the presentations and things, and that's actually what I was showing you. It looks like they give you one for free, kind of probably just explaining to you what it is. And so this looks like a Gamma that this is the default one. Essentially, it's a deck showing you or teaching you about Gamma. But I'll use this for right now just so that you can kind of get an understanding. So I know everybody's used PowerPoint before. So if you look at all of the different slides and options that's here, there is a built-in presentation button, which should take this thing almost or near full screen. If you need it to go full screen, for those of you, most of you just hit the function 11 key on your keyboard, and that'll take it to like a full screen. You'll get these like little, I don't know what you want to call them there, slider presentation, just showing you the different decks that's there. And then you can use your arrow keys. If any of you don't use Microsoft PowerPoint, but you use Google Slides and Google Workspace, it's very, very similar to that type of experience too. But in any event, it's all driven from the browser in this particular format. And let me go ahead and get out of this for just a moment, and I'll exit. All right. So the other thing you can do is you can share these presentations and keep them on the web. You can embed them into websites, web pages, or intranets, or whatever the case may be. But more importantly, you can export it. And so the export options is to PDF. You can export it to a PowerPoint, and you can even export it to Google Slides, or you can just do images. And then here's a new one where you can post directly to LinkedIn, which is a new feature. And if you've ever seen these decks or files, or if you've ever uploaded a PDF, it creates like a carousel on LinkedIn, which is pretty cool. So now you get your, whatever you're doing, you can embed this type of stuff. So you may have seen content from Sean or me that had posted on LinkedIn with this type of format. But in any event, just wanted to let you know that all of these cool tricks and tips are all there. This is literally at the cutting edge of AI. Everything's driven with AI. Here they have different type of layers. So obviously there's certain areas such as text. You got a little AI button. And so the AI button will help you create and write your content, your text. There's an AI button at the slide level. So you can have it with the slide layout and or the content. And so as you get in and through this, let's see if we can find something with an image like this. So if I click in on the image, one of the things, and I hate, let me get rid of this. I'm trying to get rid of my Apollo overlay, and it won't go away. So
this is certainly the downside of living in this new world where there's an app for everything, is because there's an app for everything.
Yeah, there really, really is. All right, so now I've got myself all spun around here. Okay, here we go for the different AI options. So here it is. I don't know, somehow it screen captured the Apollo overlay. If you've never used Apollo, it's a CRM and data enrichment type of thing, but it's ghosted, and I clicked on it and it's not part of Gamma. So if you're seeing this icon and you recognize it, that's why. So that was unexpected. I don't know how or the way that it showed up, but in any event, I really want to just get to like a regular image, because from here, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to do a new slide. Here's a new card down here, and let's go and we'll pick the 3-column image. Now I get the image here, and I've got all these plugins are lighting up. Unfortunately, I have these annoying plugins that I should have disabled before the demo. All right, so here you can upload images from your PC. The other thing here is, and I'm trying to get into the AI mode, and it looks like they've even changed some of the, there we go, finally. So here's the different media that you can choose from. It is generally contextually suggested for you based on what you have in the slide. Right now, I don't really have anything in the slide, so it's not giving me much of anything. The other thing, if you hover over this, you can do the generation for the images, and now you can use a prompt. Depending on your paid level of subscription, you will have access to either basic models or the advanced models. Now, I'm not in a paid version for this demonstration today, so the only ones that's going to be available to me is Fluxed Fast 1.1, I never use this one, Imagen 3 Fast. In any event, the key point here is that there's different models that do better at either photorealistic or illustrations and things of that nature. And all you do is you just type in a prompt, and let's see here.
And if you're not using image generation tools at this point, you really need to look into it, because I can tell you it has upped my PowerPoint game significantly. And to have it built in, which is something, frankly, that PowerPoint should already have at this point. And I understand Gamma at some point is going to be bought by Google or Amazon or Microsoft, and it'll just be part of the product. And I'm looking forward to that day. But today is not that day.
Nope. But there's a plethora of tools out there. Also, another one that I use is Ideogram. I have a subscription to that. Most of you probably have. It's one of the original ones out there. Midjourney is great for image generation. But in any event, I gave this ridiculous prompt of a cat floating in space. Obviously, that's terse. But if you click the enhanced prompt, now it's embellished a little bit, giving a little bit better description, which is helpful when you're trying to create the image. Now, maybe I don't want like a Harry Potter-ish type of cat floating around in space, but in any event, the point is you use it however you want to do it, and then pick the model that you want. There's some additional styling and or parameters that you can use. And again, you're limited to the amount of credits that you can use. So I'm not going to go and try to do anything too crazy, because I do want to actually create a presentation and show you how to use ChatGPT to create that image. Now, again, the image is okay. It's interesting, but it's not what I would call photorealistic. Now, I could have used the keyword a photorealistic image, and it probably would have done a much better job, because I have used the full version of Flux 2.0, and it is really, really good. So this is a free light version. And again, you can continue to iterate and go through this and ask AI, but I'm going to go to the front right now, and we're going to choose create new, and I'm going to do paste in text. So here's the thing. If you already know what you want to do, I'm just going to kind of give you a little hint on some of the workflows that I do. So let's pull up ChatGPT here. Let's stay logged out. And let's try to, I'll just use my Windows and H key to translate what I'm about to talk, so I don't have to do so much typing, because I don't type great. Which, get rid of this. Okay. I need to create a presentation for my boss proposing that I am allowed to take 30 days consecutive as a vacation. And I need to present this in a way that would be good for both myself and the company. Please give me a good outline with some bullets that I could use as a template to create a deck or a presentation for my ask, and create it in the format of being a prompt, because I'm going to give this to another AI to create my deck for me. All right, so I just made something off the cuff of my head. Whatever it is that you're doing, you want to go ahead and create this in a way that makes sense for you. And so now I've got this outline, and so I have slide 1, slide 2, and this is all going to be very helpful, because when we come back over here, we're just going to pop and paste this in here, and then we just tweak. I love creating PowerPoints. I like using them in presentations as pointers to keep people on track so their minds don't maybe wander as much. But I've been on some hellacious calls and salespeople putting 100 slides together. If you've ever been involved at any type of Big Four presentation at Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, they charge an arm and a leg for their services for good reason, but they also deliver the value in your deck too. So you're going to sit through a 100+ slide presentation. I just don't have the patience and the tolerance to create 100 decks or 100 slide deck, but AI is really good at doing that for you. So use this as an accelerator to get through all of that. All right, so I don't need the last part. I just need the beginning part, and I'll come over here and we'll paste this all in. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's the first part of the wizard's over. I got my prompt in here. Now, this is what I was trying to show you earlier. These are the types of output contents that you can create. So it defaults, and my default is the presentation. And so the other thing you could do is, again, that landing page I was telling you about can also create a document for you, which is helpful if you want to do like a PDF handout. Typically what I do is I create the presentation and then I export it to a PDF. So it's still in slide format and I have a little more control over it. Sometimes, I forget when, I did it recently. The document wasn't too bad as well. And it did a fairly decent job, but maybe not, in my opinion, the best job at creating a web page. So mileage is going to vary probably depending on what you're doing. So just make sure you explore all of it. And obviously social, we showed you the new feature for LinkedIn, but you got stuff in here for Twitter and other things as well. Some of the things that you can do down here for the page style, I just have always left it traditional. I do have a use case at one point in time that I was going to maybe try the tall, but if you look down here in the lower corner, if I can try to get the window to stay. All right, I'll just have to talk you through it. Look down at the lower, the hover window that's over there. It says tall, and then there's an aspect ratio of 4:3. Here's your traditional, that's 16:9 or normal HD type layout. And the default is fluid. And I usually do it that way because when you export it to PowerPoint, it does a 16:9 resizing automatically on the fly for you. So it's really, really helpful. So I always just choose the default. So now with that, we go into the next area. Now this is where you have a lot of power, but you can also make some mistakes. And I'll tell you some of the pointers where I've made some mistakes. Brief is okay, depending on what it is. You can ramp it up a little bit. If you want to get extremely verbose, I don't suggest doing that. As a person who personally doesn't like doing slides, I also had to sit through these types of presentations that are very dense with a lot of information on it. By the time you're trying to just, as a user, if you're trying to understand what the speaker's saying, plus dissect a very dense slide, it's really easy to miss what the speaker's saying, and or you're trying to lean into your own understanding, trying to understand what's going on in the slide. So I always do medium or brief. It does default, I think, at least for me, because it knows my preference to medium. But as you saw, it did start off with brief. And for this particular use case, it's probably going to be okay. Here's your text content. It's going to generate the content. So you only have the bullets that was done from the GPT. And even if you don't use GPT, it's really good for you to use Microsoft Word. You can create a bulleted outline, then you can drop your bulleted outline into here, and it will flesh out all of those bullets with some substance around whatever it is that you're trying to do. Again, it's a game changer, just really, really fast for creating this. Now, you have a little bit of a descriptor here. If you need to add more to it, you're more than welcome to, but this is your last chance to kind of do anything with regard to how this is going to turn out. Down here is where you can change the number of cards or total number of cards. Because I'm in a free version, that's turned off. But if you have a paid version, you can select the number of cards that you want. I've made a 3-slide deck before, and it's really cool. And I've also made a 15-slide deck. I had another opportunity to maybe even do a larger one, but I hadn't gotten around to it yet because I do a lot of training. And so I may even explore that as well. So really cool stuff that you can do with this. Now, here's the images that we were talking about earlier. It's the same type of thing. A lot of the stuff is rolled up so that it doesn't get you too overwhelmed. But here's where I can pick my models. Here's where I can put the image style. I might want to use... So in this case, I want photorealistic images. That way it won't create like some cartoonish Mickey Mouse looking whatever. And let's see, let's do the flux. I think that does do a good job for that. And let's see, format. We've already chosen that from the onset. So anyway, that's good enough to kind of get us going here. And this will cost us 40 credits. Now you notice from the onset, I had out of the box or out of the gate, I had 400 credits, but if you look down here behind this little thing that's hidden, I have 390 credits because I burned up 10 of them just creating the image. So this presentation is going to, by contrast, burn up 40. I think this is a much higher value. So just know that image creation is the thing that really does wind up eating this up. The text is almost negligible. So if you have your own images and you don't need to generate it, you can get a lot further mileage or value for your dollar here on Gamma if you have your own images ready. But if you don't, that's fine too. All right. Depending on whatever it is you want to do, you can just pick from their pre-baked items, or like I had said earlier, you can create a custom version of it. Let's pick a somewhat interesting. Let's see here. Here, let's pick this one. That looks pretty decent. All right. And at this point, we'll just go ahead and choose generate. If you have a paid version of it, you can, again, use your own logo, your own theme, and customize it till your heart's content, which will give you a little bit more of an accelerator so that if you download it in PowerPoint, it'll help you out considerably from there. And now you can see it's off to the races. It's taking the bullets, it's fleshing them out, it's putting a nice way of presenting it with different various layouts. It's circling back. It took my cue from, if we go back to the top, or getting some photorealistic images. And so all 100%, I didn't take the time to do anything. This was literally all done on the fly. So imagine not something so tongue-in-cheek, but imagine this being a real presentation. How much bang for the buck, or how much value that you can receive out of this, and getting some time back for your savings. Now, it does always seem to want to put that there. You can just highlight it and delete it. You can click on these, click through with AI. You can go through and you can improve the writing, improve whatever. You can noodle and fix all of these different images till your heart's content, and can ask AI to remove the background. You can have a chat with AI, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it just continues to go, go, go. So at this point, I have an opportunity to, it's trying to show me, because this is the first time I've actually used Gamma under this account. So it's trying to walk me through what it's done here. Kind of tripped me up because I'm like, let's go. All right. So it still has some stuff down here about getting started. It wants to give me the orientation. So at this point, I can now present this. And just like you're seeing now, I can share the screen. You see there's some animations on here, and there's a little bit of embellishment on some of the text. Some of it's pretty standard. Some of it's pretty straightforward. And so you have the opportunity now to then go ahead and use all of this. And now we can go ahead and just simply download this presentation. So we'll click share, choose export, and we'll come down here to export PowerPoint. And so this will download the PowerPoint in just a moment. And then I'll show you what it looks like in PowerPoint, or in Microsoft PowerPoint. You could have also done it to Google Slides, and we could import it there as well. Usually it doesn't take so long.
But one of the things I really want to call out is what you did at the beginning of this, which is, this is a fairly valuable tool on its own, but you went through and used a different tool to give an outline, right?
Yep.
And so it comes down that it may not be the singular tool. It may be using multiple tools to be able to do things. So at some point, you need to understand a lot of the different online tools so that you can kind of tree them together and figure out a way. Like last week, I showed you, Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, my, the open source models. And, it comes down to what works best for you, and being able to string them together to be able to get that productivity boost.
And the one thing I wanted to add, if you're seeing this on screen, is made with Gamma. As soon as you upgrade, you can tick the tick box to make sure that this is removed so that you can create proprietary slides. And so at this point, I can just go into, my PC. I'm in PowerPoint. I can add any icon that I want to add to it and lay it out wherever I want. Obviously, that was a bad image to add to this slide, but the key here is you can now edit till your heart's content. It's in a traditional PowerPoint. And so one of the interesting things to show you is under File, under Info, if we look at this, we can see that the title isn't me. It's done by this generator. And this is important. So this is PPTX Gen JS. So for those of you that's not familiar, I want you to, if you're in the business and only in the business, this next part's going to make your eyes glaze over. So just warning about we're putting our geek hat on for just a moment here. And this is a library that you can code in JavaScript to have ChatGPT or vibe coding, meaning Windsurf, Cursor, Visual Studio Code, or GitHub Visual Studio Code, or VS Code with GitHub Copilot. Any of these things,
Void.
Yeah, Void. There's no shortage of this, but the key or the point here is that maybe you want to create a process, or maybe you're using N8N, or maybe you're using Power Automate, or whatever the case may be. And as long as you have a developer that can write, read, and deal with JavaScript code, you can then go out to ChatGPT and do some other interesting, cool things by using this library. So I prepared in advance a prompt. So I guess let me take a step back and walk you through what I did. One of the things I did, which you saw me do earlier, I had GPT create me an outline. So you saw me do that earlier. I did that. That was my first pass. And then what I did is the second pass, I said, great, now I want to use this JavaScript library, this PPTX, and I linked it into the help file information. And I said, I need you to create a prompt for another AI to create this code. And I needed to make sure you do that so that at the end of the day, the AI can generate this for me. And so it generated the majority of this, with exception of here down. I went ahead and added that because I was having some problems with it. And I asked the AI, how can I make my prompt better to avoid these problems in creation? And so now I got this really great prompt at the end of the day. And so now I've got this prompt that will write the code, build the presentation, and everything for me, which is pretty cool. I'm going to copy this off to the clipboard. I want to show you this other thing. So when I ran that code, or that plain text with the code through GPT, and it did what it did, it used this library, the same library that Gamma is using to produce these PowerPoint presentations. And I'm going to open this up with Void, or try to anyway. See which screen it's going to open up on. Here we go, number 2. And so this is just a boilerplate HTML page. You can see there's some style stuff. So if you don't understand code, that's all fine. Anyway, it pointed to a library, a JavaScript library that's hosted by somebody else's computer, the people that wrote the software. And so you can get access to the library. And what it's doing is it's translating HTML into a deck. And so it's really good because for the most part, yes, there's some geeky stuff in here, but you could probably, if you have a little bit of inclination about being able to maybe read a little bit of code, but maybe not start from scratch, you could essentially add a 3rd slide, a 4th slide, a 5th slide, or use this as a template. And so what really is interesting about this, if I go ahead and get to a command line, and I'll bring this over so you can see what's going on. I'm just using Python to create a mock-up web server so that I can essentially go through and host this. So now I have a web server that I can host this index.html page on. So if I go to localhost 8000, that's this web server I just lit up with Python. This is the HTML that I'm reviewing here. Now, keep in mind the presentation that I told it to make was very ridiculous, very terse. I didn't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, so I just wanted to be able to demonstrate it. But if I had the time and I had maybe an hour or two to create this in advance, then all I need to do is essentially come back and just add or flesh out my content, because now I got a template that's working. So what I did is I clicked this button, the code ran, the JavaScript ran, and as a result of that, it generated this PowerPoint. So I have this new deck that's right here, which is, this was the one that was just created. It's a little bit overblown. So again, you can go ahead and, move things around, change it out. Obviously, with the disclaimer, I said it was a little bit rough, but it created a three-thing slide. It's nothing to write home about. It's certainly not as impressive as Gamma, but the key or the point here is with a little bit of time, if you have somebody that has a coding background or a coding degree or something, or can use Vibe coding, you can use this JavaScript library to now, with AI, take in input information from users, provide graphical information, and or have AI generate all of this. And you can create your own Gamma in-house to use by your company, as long as you have a couple of developers that are sitting around that know how to either use Vibe coding, Vibe programming, or maybe they want to have a project because maybe they're idle, they're between projects. In any event, the key takeaway here is there are many options for you to now go ahead and use, from a paid subscription where this is all pretty buttoned up and whatever. And then to Sean's point, I can use ChatGPT to create the outline. Even though I click create new, paste in the text, there's nothing there. It's looking for you to generate this, which is why I use the other GPT. The other thing too here is I can generate from a one-time prompt within a few seconds. This is the one that kind of walks you through step by step, and you just describe to it. Now, I could have done the same thing that I did in ChatGPT. I can do it here using this option and generate. And this is why it says it's popular, because most people don't do what I do. I found that I have a little bit more granular control going out to GPT. So to Sean's earlier point, which is why it's helpful to know what limitations and or try different things to see what different results, different outputs, because each large language model does something really, really unique and really, really well. Some things do the same things, but some do them better than others. And so you have it's like going down the cereal box aisle at the grocery store. There's no shortage of options or choices. So you need to pick the one that's right for you, the one that you're familiar with, the one that makes you, the most comfortable, or the one that makes you look good. Otherwise, if you want to go down a more laborious task, you can use AI and write a full application around that, because these libraries are now out there to use this. And because it's an MIT license, this is how Gamma was able to create a piece of software around that functionality to be able to pull a lot of that other stuff off. The other things too, here you can upload other existing documents or assets that you have to create. So if you're starting from a point where there's other things that might be in your Google Drive or in your Microsoft OneDrive or whatever the case may be, and you have all of this information, but you want to kind of bring it together in a presentation, throw it in there and maybe just describe to it what are the key takeaways that you want to create this presentation about, or the key aspects of it, or just let it do what it thinks it needs to do. And then you can go through and clean up the slides after the fact. So that is pretty much it for today's demo. Sean, any questions or any additional ideas that you think I should cover?
No, I mean, again, Gamma is a great example of why it has never been a better time to build.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of these. I just looked it up. Tome, Plus AI, Beautiful AI, SlideSpeak, Presenti.ai, Dectopus, Slides AI, Magic Slides, Slides Bazaar, Preseton. It's amazing, right? The question is what's your problem? And somebody has figured out a tool to help you solve it. And if you need somebody to find the solution, that's where David and myself come into play here. Reach out to us on LinkedIn. Go to our website, Transformation Leaders Podcast. We're here to answer your questions. We'd love to engage with you. Hopefully you've got something really crazy going on and we can invite you on like we did a couple weeks back with my good friend Sean and Court. But reach out, start the conversation. We'd love to hear what you're building.
Yep. Absolutely. Thanks, Sean. And just for a reminder, Copilot is now part of PowerPoint if you have the additional bolt-on subscription. So that's where the price of Gamma is pretty much a little bit cheaper than the Copilot. But if you do go Copilot, you get more than just PowerPoint. You get it in Excel, you get it in through all of the apps, plus you get it into the 365 ecosystem as well. So again, no shortage of options for everybody. All right, guys, that's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.